never been to this charity shop before. It's huge. Right. One of the biggest I've ever been. Sadly no games for me, but that's a great find. Big fun. Endangered species £1. Yeah, you're doing 10 CDs for £1, which I think is arguably the best I've ever seen, but I can't find any others that I want, but I'm more than happy to pay £1 for that one. So yeah man, nice little find. Hi everybody, welcome to this week's Ghetto vlog. Well, what a start to the week. I've had a couple of really nice charity shop finds really early on in the week, which, to be honest, it's been quite timely. I've needed these because I've been a little bit slow by my own standards in charity shops recently, and I'm just looking now. I've had a really couple of nice finds, so let me show you what we've got. So you guys have just seen the video footage of this really big, it's a Sue Ryder charity shop. I've never been in there before. The first thing I found was this big pun CD. It was 10 CDs for £1, which is crazy, right? There was only one that I wanted, but I was more than happy to give £1 for this. Some absolute bangers. I'm a huge Big Pun fan, and Big Pun is not the sort of artist that you find regularly in a charity shop. So always nice to add sort of like, you know, 90s classic hip hop to my collection. And as I was leaving, there was a glass case, you know, the old fabled glass cabinet, and it had 3 PlayStation 1 games. The first one was Worms Pinball, £3. Wasn't going to leave it behind for £3. It's complete. It's got the manual in there. I do quite like pinball games. I've never really been a pinball guy, you know, in terms of the machines. I'm sure there is a skill to pinball, I just don't get it. I just, you know, it's just one of the things that I've never spent enough time with to really understand, but I do enjoy playing pinball video games every now and again. The other one I picked up was Hugo 2. This one was slightly more expensive at £5, is again complete. The discs are in really nice condition. It just looks like the sort of game that I might enjoy, right? You guys will be seeing footage of it on screen now, but it definitely looks like a game that I'll be looking forward to playing and see how it plays on the PlayStation 1, a series that I've never played before. The other thing that you guys might have seen footage of, or I'll be putting on the screen now, is that this Sue Ryder charity shop also had a boxed Nintendo Wii. It was a great price. It was £15, and I certainly would understand anybody picking it up or questioning why I didn't. But guys, I'm sitting on like 3 Nintendo Wiis currently. The controller inside, one of them wasn't official. It did have a copy of Wii Sports Resort. It wouldn't be classed as boxed because they didn't have the inserts, and to be honest, there just wasn't enough meat on the bone for it to be worth me picking it up. I've got enough Nintendo Wiis. I'm trying to clear the 2.5, not add to it, so that's why I decided to leave that. But today was driving past my local charity shop. Guys, it was hammering it down. I went out in shorts and t-shirt because I'd been out when the sun was shining, good old British summertime, right? And by the time I was driving back, it was torrential rain. And I almost didn't go in. I almost thought, I went in yesterday, there was nothing there. I'm going to get soaked. But yeah, I thought, you know what? You've got to go. So I pulled over, went, got wet, and guys, let me tell you, it was definitely worth it. I'll show you on screen now what was there. So yeah, as you saw, there was a nice bundle of 360 games that had come in, and they weren't your normal games. I went a quick scan through them all. These are the ones that I decided to pick up. I'm very happy with what we found here. Firstly, Test Drive Unlimited, a game I want, right? You guys know by now I'm actively pursuing 360 arcade races. A lot of my races are still here, look, from Wednesday's Video Games to Invest In. I use this as like an overlay shot, so I still need to put all these back. But yeah, we're getting a nice 360 racing collection. So really nice to be adding one that I didn't already own. This is complete. It comes with like the map and everything, the Hawaii road map. So yeah, always nice to find games that you actually want in your collection. Next up was Worms Collection. I'm not going to keep banging on about compilations at this point. This is one I would be tempted to keep in my collection ordinarily, but there is good trade value on this, and it doesn't have a manual. I need to check online if this should come with a manual. If it should, that'll sort of make my decision for me, and I'll get this one traded in. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think there's like £8 trading value on that, so that's a really good find. All Stars Sonic Racing Transformed, still worth picking up this one. This one still has £5 value. A lot of CEX values have gone up and down in recent times, but this one's still got a good £5 trading value on it. And in this charity shop, it's usually £1.95 a game, but it just depends on what day it is, who's serving me. The lady in question today charged me £1 a game. When I saw she was charging me £1 a game, I also picked up Call of Duty Black Ops because this trades in for £2. I will happily double my money all day long. So these three alone trade in for £15, and I've got this for a total of £4 spent. Just a real nice start to the week, right? To find retro in a charity shop, a game that I actually won, and a nice little bit of trade credit as well. Guys, there's loads more to come. I'm really excited about this week. My best friend, I don't see him enough because he lives in Qatar now, so literally the other side of the world. He's coming over this week, so I'm hoping to go out and do a little bit of hunting whilst he's here. And also, there's going to be more unboxings on this vlog than any other vlog I've ever done. There's so much that's already here, but there's also so much due to arrive. I've got eBay purchases. I've got a real heavy hitting CEX lottery. I've got some CEX purchases that are tied into Wednesday's video. I've got what is probably the most nostalgic piece left from my childhood that I don't currently own. I finally sort of pulled the trigger on that. It's something I've been watching for years on eBay. That's coming. I've got gifts coming. There's loads. So yeah, we're going to sit down at some point this week and do a lot of unboxings. I'm excited about it. So yeah, man, I'll check in with you guys real soon. It would seem we've got an unannounced visitor to the 3.0. Nah, mate. So I'm determined that I'm going to start playing more of my 16-bit shmups. I've got so many amazing games that I've just been waiting to play. And tonight I just randomly picked up off the shelf Twin Hawk, and I really enjoyed it. When I first put it on, I thought it seemed very slow. It's quite methodical. But I soon got used to the pace of it. It plays as like one long level. So there's not sort of like anything that changes apart from the music. The music is the indicator that you've entered a new area, and you have to look on the screen and it will say area 2 or 3. There's only 4 areas. I thought I was going to be coming on here telling you I'd completed it. I got to what I assume is the final boss. There's no real bosses, but there's one at the end of the game. At the end of the sort of 4th stage. It's difficult because it's a one-shot kill game, and when you die on the boss, it takes you back to, I don't know, like a couple of minutes prior to the boss, and just getting there is somewhat difficult. And I think you need to get to the boss with all your power-ups. Power-ups are essentially like another squad of aeroplanes or aircrafts that come in with you. But really good fun. A really well-designed game. I really enjoyed it, actually, and I definitely think I'll be playing it again. A Tower Plan shmup, so you know they're sort of famous for being very good. And yeah, man, for just a random one I pulled off the shelf, I thought I'd just give it half an hour. I've been sat here for like 2 hours trying to complete the game, and that's always a good sign of a game. And I've had a bit of a difficult day, so that's what I love about video games and shmups in particular, right? When you're in the zone and you're playing it, there's no room in your mind for anything else. You're just concentrating on not getting hit by a bullet, right? And yeah, that's just what I needed, and yeah, that's the beauty of gaming, right? So yeah, definitely recommend Twin Hawk, and it's one I'll be playing again to try and beat that boss for sure. The next day, I did it. Obviously, it's on the easiest setting. I didn't quite one credit it, but you know what? It's a 16-bit shmup. I'm taking any victory I can get. Game number 11 of the year. I honestly feel like I could one credit this game. For those that don't know what that means, it means basically do it on one continue. It's just this like almost boss figure at the end of level 4, but once you know how, whoa. Oh, talk about speaking too soon and catched it on camera. So it kind of comes up like you're done at level 4, right? But there's actually 8 stages. So there's 4 stages and then the same 4 again, but much harder. I should have known better. Talking about I can one credit. Who do you think I am? Right, so I got as far as the 7th stage. It gets very difficult. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I definitely was counting my chickens there before the patch because, yeah, I thought there was 4 stages. There's 8. And it gets a lot harder, like a lot harder. But what a great game this is. Really enjoying it. Having a lot of fun with it. I got quite far into, I think, level 7, and there's 8 stages, so definitely think it's one that I will be able to clear on easy mode, of course. But yeah, I'm going to keep going with it. But if anyone out there is looking for a 16-bit shmup, almost I'd say entry level, it's not easy, but because it's quite slow and quite methodical, and it's certainly not bullet hell, this is definitely a great game to pick up. There are copies in stock at CEX. I've had a look, it's about 30 quid, I think. So yeah, really enjoying this one. Retro Ghetto. Good morning, I've made it to Nottingham. I'm with my friend, Big P. Say hello.
Hello.
Man of many words. I've come, first stop is CEX. Gonna take a quick look in here. See what goodies I can find. I've got them things to trade in that I found in the charity shop earlier this week. So yeah man, see what we can get. Really happy to have found this. As I said, I spoke about this on Wednesday's video, games that I think are getting open value. But I was put off buying it because of CEX's new delivery costs. It literally would have doubled the price of this, so it's nice to come in here and find this sitting on the shelf. £3, yeah man, happy with it. From Qatar to CEX, how does it feel, mate? Glad to be home. Okay, so I often say that I don't get much luck in city centre charity shops. Obviously it's shops that are often frequented by hunters, but this Resident Evil one here is gold edition. I don't own it, it was £2. Yeah, just a different variant. Not going to grumble for a couple of quid. Decent.
This is a game I've been wanting to pick up, but my backlog is so big. I just don't think I need to spend £25 on it. But how much lower is it going to get? I don't know. When it gets to 20, I'm buying it.
Okay, as you can see, we are back in the 3.0 after what was a fantastic day hunting and catching up with a very old friend. As I say, he lives on the other side of the world now, so the time that we do get spent together now is very precious. We had some good food, some good times, man, and I managed to pick up a few games along the way, so I'm going to be showing them now. I alluded to at the start of this vlog, right, how many parcels we've got. It's ridiculous. I've got all these, and I still think there's about 3 or 4 more due to arrive tomorrow. So all of these parcels we're going to be opening tomorrow, right? So you'll be seeing it later in the vlog. There's so much here that I've got so much to say about. So as I say, we're going to consolidate that. And what I'm going to focus on now is the 4 games that I picked up today in Nottingham. The first one is one which you guys would have seen me pick up at the first CEX as soon as we got there. And that is Fatal Inertia. It kind of felt like fate, right? Fate Inertia, because I was just looking around and I just saw this sat on the shelf. And obviously I've just made this video on it on Wednesday. So yeah, it was just, I felt like I had to pick it up, right? It was £3. I'm not going to bore you with the information again. If you want to know more about it, make sure you check out the video that I put out on Wednesday. But as I say, it is one that I think will be increasing in value. But not only that, it's a racer, and I'm pretty much trying to get all the racers that I can for the Xbox 360 at this point. And this leads me to something I've got to say about CEX. So they've recently put up their postage prices, okay? I'm sure everyone's aware of this now. It's gone from £2 to £3, and I, for one, am not surprised. Obviously, there's increasing costs in everything nowadays, and Royal Mail prices have gone up, and I think, to be honest, we were quite lucky to have £1.95 across the board for as long as we did. Especially when, you know, you order retro, and I get a lot of small, if not medium parcels coming through for only £1.95. So I felt this was inevitable. And it does sort of change the buying habits, which we'll talk about a little bit more maybe tomorrow or later on when I look at some of these other pickups. So effectively, for a game that's £3, I don't now want to be buying them online because it's doubling the cost, right? There's a big difference in that extra £1 now. I think whereas £5 posted might have been a bit more palatable, to now jump to £6, for me personally, yeah, it's a jump I don't really want to have to make. So it's become more imperative that I find games in store. So when you see games that you want, just grab them, right? And yeah, that's what I did with this. But bigger issue for me in and around that is CEX have to change a policy. Like, what they're doing and have been doing up to this point, I think is morally wrong. I've spoken about this before on the channel, and that is when you buy multiple items from CEX and, for example, a minimum of 2 of those items come from one store, and they're not consolidating the price of postage. They're just charging you 2 lots of post, which for me is not on. When you're putting those both items into one parcel, even if that was to slightly raise the price of a parcel, let's just say if it was no longer classed as a large letter and it went up, it still isn't going up to £6, for example. So it's definitely something that they have to look at. And if there is anybody that works within CEX or can shed any more information on whether this is something that they are looking to implement a change with, because I think now is the time. If you're going to increase prices, the time to add this service is now. I say now, I think it should have already been done, because I think it's morally wrong what they're doing. Even as a private seller on eBay, I think you should be sort of combining postage. I would certainly expect a buyer to do so if I bought more than one item off them. So a large corporation like CEX, I think there's no excuse. The systems are clearly in place, because if you order a minimum of 2 products and they're in stock at one store, they will automatically come from that store. It makes sense as a business as to why they would do that, right? So I don't know why it couldn't have been further implemented to sort of reduce the postage costs, or even if it just sent it you back once it had been processed, right? I just don't think it's morally right what they're doing at the moment, and hopefully someone can let me know in the comment section as to whether there are plans afoot to change that. But yeah, Fatal Inertia is a prime example of a game that I would no longer order online, and these sort of cheaper games now are definitely ones I'm going to be keeping an eye out more for in store. So yeah, that was the first one. This next one, again, I mentioned it, I think, on the vlog, you'd have seen it. Resident Evil 5, a charity shop find. It was in a fabled glass cabinet. You know what it's like, guys, when you go to city centres. I never really expect to find much, and a lot of the things in the glass cabinet were very expensive. PS3 games were like £10, and I think there was Metal Gear Solid 3 for considerably more than it sells for at CEX. So, but when I saw this, I didn't really look into it. I just thought, you know what, I don't own that, I'll pick it up. I do own Resident Evil 5 on the 360, but this is the gold edition. I think looking into it a little bit, this is the same disc, so it probably was just a downloadable code, which has probably already been used, to be fair. I think that the gold edition, or the code, basically just gives you 2 new episodes, there's 4 new costumes, and I think you've got some updated online modes. As I say, it appears to have the same disc, but it's £2, it's a charity shop, I'm not going to grumble. What I would probably normally do is take my original standard copy of this and trade it into CEX, but I don't think there's enough value in it to be worth it. So a couple of quid to charity, it's just a different variant for me. And then we went to the smaller CEX, there's 2 in Nottingham. I've got to give a shout out as well to Corbyn. We're going to talk about him more tomorrow when we open one of these, which is a gift from him. But I randomly, like coincidentally, bumped into him today in the CEX. So shout out to Corbyn, and as I say, I'll be discussing that a little bit more tomorrow when we open all these parcels. But yeah, whilst I was there, I found a couple of games. Now the first one is one that I've just kind of been keeping my eye on for a little while, and that is Beautiful Katamari. So this is obviously part of the Katamari series. One of them games that I've always been intrigued by. I've always thought looked like something I would enjoy. And I feel like it's the kind of game I would enjoy playing at the kiosk, right? And just sort of pick up and play and having half an hour to an hour on it here and there. And as I say, I've never played one of the series, always wanted to. I figured this was a good place to start. This particular one is a 2008 Namco Bandai action puzzler. I think it was previously just a PlayStation exclusive. And the PlayStation 3 version of this game was actually cancelled. So the only way you can get Beautiful Katamari is via the Xbox 360. It's a sort of standard Katamari formula from what I understand, of sort of rolling the ball and trying to make the ball bigger, and obviously there's different parameters as you progress through the game. This is actually the first HD release of the series, and as you can see, it says £15 on it. I actually picked this up being prepared to pay £15. If you look on eBay, this is selling regularly for sort of 17, 18, £20. So £15 without postage isn't bad at all, but it's actually gone down in price. When I got home and I looked at this online, it was showing as £10. I immediately checked my receipt, and thankfully they had charged it at £10. They just hadn't changed the sticker. So I would assume that's a recent price change. There's been a lot of price changes at CEX in recent weeks. So yeah, I think it's a good time to pick this game up for just £10, and make sure you get one with a manual, because it's a real thick, full colour manual in there. And yeah, just one of them games that, like I say, I've never tried it. One of them series I've always wanted to play, so I figured the first sort of HD release would be a good place for me to start, and for £10, yeah man, take that all day long. And then I picked up a game in the same CEX that I've been wanting for so long. It's one of them games that, like, I've always like ummed and ahed. I've had it in my hand so many times at CEX, but it's one of them I always thought, will it come down in price? And it hasn't. It's £25, and I utilised the vouchers that I took from those charity shop finds that we'd had earlier in the week, the £15, right? And that is Punch-Out on the Wii. So this was released in 2009 and developed by Next Level Games, and I've always heard positive things about it, and the art style looks fantastic. I think this is like Wii at its best. Again, something I referenced on Wednesday when I was looking at that Batman Brave and the Bold game. When they sort of do that 2D, if not 2.5D, really colourful, everything that you'd want from a Nintendo game. And I think this game is made for Nintendo Wii, right? It just seems to translate so well. I've always been so intrigued as to how it plays. I've never heard anything but positive things about this, and critics actually really praised this game. Official Nintendo magazine gave it 91%, Nintendo World Report 10 out of 10, Game Informer gave this a 9 out of 10, and as I say, I think some games, the stumbling block with the Nintendo Wii is the motion controls. It can sort of be its downfall at times. I don't always want to be throwing my arms around, but I love Wii Sports. To this day I still play golf, and I still enjoy the boxing, and I assume it's sort of a more fleshed out version of that, right? It's very much the same as all the other games in the Punch-Out series. It's pattern learning, and then sort of being able to capitalise that. And I just think there's going to be so sort of satisfying to capitalise on it with actually throwing punches that, yeah, it's just one of the games I've been wanting to play for a long time. This one's in beautiful condition. You know, it's obviously got the manual and everything, and I just figured now was the time, right? So yeah, I've added Punch-Out to my collection, and this is going quite high up on my games to playlist. Might even play it tonight if I get the opportunity to do so. And yeah, like I said, just a fantastic day. Always great to see, as I say, very close friends that you don't get to see too often these days, and to come back with 4 games as well is always a bonus, right? And also want to shout out to Parallel Universe, which was the toy shop that I visited at the end. Absolutely stacked shop. Shout out to the manager, the owner. He was a great guy as well. I had like a real good conversation with him. I didn't pick anything up. I think it's because it was sort of towards the end of the day. We're on the way back to the car park, and you know what it's like when you've been out on your feet all day. I'm getting old, guys. I was ready to get back to my car, and I probably didn't look as avidly through those stacked shelves as I would have had it been the first stop of the day, but it's somewhere I'll definitely be going back to. There's loads of toys and like trinkets and stuff in there that, yeah, I feel like if I had more time to sort of peruse the shelves, I definitely would have found something that I wanted. But if you're ever in the Nottingham area, definitely go and check out that shop, and I'll put a link to their Facebook page in the description below as well. So, yeah, man, as I say, really happy with that, and maybe I'll film something tonight, but next time you see me, we might be opening a lot of parcels with some great stuff in it. Okay, it's the next day. A couple more have arrived for the pile of doom, and I've never had this many parcels to open, I don't think, in my life. I'm that generation that had to wait till Christmas and birthday to get a present, right? So, yeah, crazy how much stuff. It just seems to have all arrived this week. But before we get into that, one thing at a time, let's get all these other editions that we've picked up this week put away after we've got all the stickers off and cleaned them. Okay, so it's finally time to get into all of these packages, and like I say, there's a mix of things in here. We've got CEX lotteries, we've got gifts, there's real childhood nostalgia. There's quite a lot of things I want to say about quite a lot of these items. So if there was ever a time to pause this video, make sure you got a Sunday morning brew. Now is the time. But yeah, let's dig into this pile of doom, shall we? And I've kind of tried to put it in some sort of order, but I don't really know what's inside every one, to be honest, so we're just going to dig into it. I've got a good old box cutter because you guys know I'm partial to my steak knife, right? But the amount of stuff here, by the time I'd finished, it would be a burger knife, right? It's going to be blunted by all these. So if this is what I think it is, which I think it is, yes. Okay, so I put this on top for a reason. This is the game that I alluded to on Wednesday's video. So for those of you that watched Wednesday's video, like a games to invest in video, I did say how there was one game I was going to speak about, but it hadn't yet arrived. This is that game. This is something I've been after for a long time. I've had it on my save search on CEX well over a year, probably the best part of 2 years. It finally came into stock, and as I've already said on that video, at the time I was messing about trying to get all my CEX voucher codes entered, all the different dates and serial numbers and whatever else it asks for, right? And I always get one of them things wrong. I always have to do it twice. Is that just me? By the time I was trying to be fastest finger first, somebody had already bought it. So yeah, lesson learned in that respect. Because CEX had this massively underpriced, but like I say, it's never in stock. They've got it for like 20 something, low 20s. I took to eBay, negotiated with the guy, and I think I managed to get this for like £40 postage or £40 plus postage. Which, to be honest, is a good deal. It's the most I've ever spent on a PlayStation 2 game, that's for sure. And that is Assault Suits Vulcan. I'll read the blurb on the back of the box. Assault Suits Vulcan is finally back with nuclear wars, spectacular combat sequences, and incredible atmosphere. So basically, this is a 2005 release of Cybernator on the Super Nintendo, which just happens to be right next to me. I've really sort of scoured the internet and YouTube and all of the sources to see what the key differences are between Assault Suits Vulcan on the PS2 and Cybernator on the Super Nintendo, and I can't really find anything definitive. I can only assume that this one is somehow slightly improved. I think I read somewhere that the Super Nintendo release missed some of the things that was available on the Super Famicom. And I think that's included in this because it was called Assault Suits Falcon in Japan, and we changed it to Cybernator over in the West. You have to excuse my fingers. I look like I've just come out the interrogation room. It was ink on that envelope. But yeah, like I say, just one of them games that's become very, very uncommon. I've really been wanting to get my hands on this for quite some time, and I really want to play the two side by side. Very, very fun game. If you guys don't know anything about Cybernator, make sure you're checking that out. It's basically almost like an action platformer, but you're in a mech suit, and you really sort of feel the weight and the power of this suit as you're playing. It's very difficult to explain. You'll be seeing the footage on screen now, but yeah, I've just always been very intrigued by this game. It's just seemingly one of them games that's very, very uncommon. You never see much of it about, and like I say, if I'm going to spend £40 on a PS2 game, then you best believe it's worth more than that. And just very, very happy to finally have this in my collection. And stick around because in the next vlog or two, I'll be doing like a side-by-side comparison. I want to really test out Cybernator on the Super Nintendo against the Assault Suits Falcon on the PS2 and see where the differences lie in the two. Okay, after a quick tea break, I think these next two are CEX orders. I wouldn't so much call them CEX lotteries. We're continuing the theme from this one in terms of games that I've mentioned on Wednesday's video. So these were games that I'd ordered prior to filming that video. I didn't get all of them, so there's a few of them I missed out on myself. I only had so many vouchers, right? Largely because of a big CEX lottery that we've come to in this pile. The first one I decided to pick up was Ferrari Racing Legends. Like I say, I keep saying it, you guys know I'm going for the races on the Xbox 360. There was only 2 copies of this in stock after I'd purchased this, so unsurprisingly it's sold out. No manual, which is a shame. So this is kind of where I become a victim of sharing these games myself, right? Because ordinarily I might think, well, I'll buy another one and get one with a manual, but I love sharing these sort of games with you guys, and I'll have to check online to see if this should actually come with a manual, but obviously there's no other copies to swap it out for anyway, so yeah, I'll just take that. Apparently this didn't get a UK release. I think it just came out in different territories in Europe. This looks to have French and Dutch text on the back, and that would explain why this game is so rare as well. But yeah, test drive Ferrari Racing Legends. If you want to know more about this game, check out Wednesday's video because, as I say, I put more information on there about it. And the same can of course be said for this one. This one's slightly ripped already, so we'll just dig in. This is the Midway Arcade Origins. Again, a compilation on the Xbox 360. And of the ones that I mentioned, this was the one that I really wanted to purchase because this is the one that I can see myself putting time into playing on the Xbox 360 kiosk. You know, classic games like Total Carnage, Rampage, Joust. I mean, there's so many different games here, I'm not going to read them all off. Hopefully you guys can see that on screen now. But yeah, just an absolute classic compilation. Once again, no manual. So if it's supposed to have come with one, it's not worked out too well for me. But just happy to have a copy of each of these so I can play them on my 360 kiosk, as I say. Right, okay, so that's the CX purchases done and pretty much everything that I covered on Wednesday's video, so we'll pop that back up there. Okay, so on to the next one. I think this is a gift. Right, so earlier in the vlog I mentioned that I bumped into a chap called Corbin that watches the channel in CEX, and he had coincidentally already sent me a gift, which is why it was so great to see him in person. Shout out to the Ghetto gang as well, and yeah, this is that gift. So he reached out and asked me if I had this, which I don't have, and it's one of the things that I've always admired from afar, and it's just one of them games I've been putting off, right? I just don't know if I've got it in me to try it, but it's Dark Souls 2, and this is the Black Armor edition. Absolutely beautiful looking steelbook, and Corbin knows me well because he knows I like my steelbooks to come with the sleeve cover. So yeah, just very, very happy for him to have sent me this. Very kind of him, and as you guys can see, beautiful artwork on this. Such a nice collector's edition. I'll try and send you something in return, Corbin, because this is far too kind. It comes with the soundtrack. And yeah, I'm just really glad that I was able to coincidentally bump into Corbin and thank him in person. But yeah, make sure you go and check him out on Instagram as well. Corbin's got a retro video game page on Instagram. He takes some nice photography and builds his own collection. I know he's got quite an avid collector himself, and he sort of progresses all that over on his Instagram, so there'll be a link in the description below. But yeah, I'm actually even more blown away by this in person. What a beautiful, beautiful collector's edition that is. I actually have the first Dark Souls big box, so now I've got both on the PlayStation 3, and yeah, absolutely made up with that. He's also included this Assassin's Creed Revelations art book, which is very kind of him as well. So yeah, let's get on to the next one. So this is, I don't know what this is. We're about to find out, right? I'm having to hold it in a certain way because the address on here. So I'll rip the address off. No. And I don't have to worry about how I'm holding it, right? So anyway, let's go then. It says fragile. Right, so I'm in. Finally. It took some getting into, that did. Right, I know what this is now. This is a gift. I believe it was sent to a chap. I think his name's Infinity8. We had quite a bit of dialogue. Supporter of the channel, much appreciated. And he watched last week's vlog, and I was discussing when we were looking at the Super Nintendo War and moving things around. I mentioned how I took Top Gear 2 off, and how I said I don't own Top Gear, and it's one that I'm keeping my eye on. And I was genuinely looking at Top Gear on the Super Nintendo that morning on eBay, and I was actually thinking to myself, wow, this has gone up in price since I last checked. Like when I first started collecting Super Nintendo games, I thought it was like a £20–30 game, and it's like double that. And coincidentally, he reached out to me that same morning and said, I've been up in my loft and I've got this empty box. Do you want it? And I said, absolutely. Much appreciated, Infinity8. I won't give out his real name in case he doesn't want me to. But yes, this is in really nice condition. So this is the Top Gear box, as I say. Wow, look at that. Comet. Anyone remember Comet back in the day? £45. You do well to get it for £45 now, actually. Brilliant. So I will need to try and track down a manual for this. Obviously buying the cartridge won't be too difficult. I'll be getting a cartridge for this very, very soon. But yeah, I love things like this. When people sort of watch the vlog and, you know, they want to be kind enough to send me something and add it to my collection, it means a lot. Again, certainly never anything I expect. I never ask anyone to send me anything, and everyone that's ever sent me anything will probably be able to attest to the fact that I always try and say to people, look, sell it or take it to CEX or whatever the case may be. Obviously not in this case, but yeah, if people really want to send it, it's very much appreciated. And yeah, really nice to be adding this, because Top Gear is one of them games I hear so many people say positive things about. By all accounts, it's better than the second one. And now I've got the box, I'll give me the impetus, of course, to buy the cartridge, and then I can play it. So yeah, massive shout out to Infinity8 on this one. I've just thought to myself, actually, we didn't really talk about this, did we? Because I bought it from eBay, I knew it was in great condition and complete with the manual and everything. But just to clarify, really nice condition on Assault Suits Falcon. Right, the pile's growing. This one is shrinking. This is the CEX lottery. We're going to save that to last, I think. So let's open this one, shall we, next? I know what this is by the shape. Get into it. Yeah, so again, I think back of last week's vlog, I actually asked about this one. I asked if anybody could help me out with this. Of course, I was happy to pay. But a chap called Sam messaged me. And not only Sam, I had somebody else reach out to me after Sam as well, with the same proposal to send this to me. And much appreciated, guys. Everyone that supports the channel and helps me out, it genuinely means a lot, right? There's a message here. Best wishes, mate. Magazine as promised, from Sam. And yeah, this is it. So this is my Retro Gamer magazine. So this is the subscriber issue. So it should be slightly different. It's actually quite surprising because normally they do very different artwork for Retro Gamer, but on this occasion there really isn't much difference at all. It just doesn't have the writing that this one has. But by having them both, it will allow me to frame one, keep one obviously, because it's nice to have one that I can open and look through and read. And also I've recently received the sort of graphics for my section in this magazine, so I'm looking to sort of print it off and get it all printed and find a place in here to display this. As I'm really proud of having my feature in this magazine. So yeah, massive shout out to Sam for that, because that's going to help me to figure out a display. I'm not exactly 100% sure as to how I'm going to do it yet, but now I've got all the bits and pieces I need. I can sort of lay them out, start looking at what frames I'm going to need, and yeah, just again, massively appreciate it. So thank you very much for that, Sam. Top man. And then before we do the CEX lottery, we've got this big one here. And this is my childhood, right? I think I've touched upon this earlier in the vlog. I can't think of anything more nostalgic for me that I don't already own. I've reached that point as a collector where most things that I have fond memories attached to, I already own them at this point. But this is just one of them things that I've had saved on my eBay for a long time, and it's not a particularly cheap item, and it's just never been the right time until now. So before I tell you what it is, I'll tell you how it came to be. So the eBay seller had this, and I can't remember what they had it listed at. Might be like 80, 90 pounds or something like that. I might be wrong, that might be a bit high. And I offered something like 55, and with postage it was like 16. And then I noticed as we were messaging about it, that it sounded like a seller, like the eBay seller's name wasn't like Dave, it was Zombiecattoys, and I thought to myself, well, I wonder if that's like a reseller. So I took to Instagram and I found the account, Zombiecattoys, so I reached out to Zombiecat, and he was more than happy to cut eBay out. So I got this for £50, so I saved a bit of money. He obviously saved on fees and whatnot. And it's one of them things that's not really going to show that well, right? It's Lego, but it's not just any Lego. This, as I say, is my childhood. I've got it written down here. This is Lego set 6097, Night Lord's Castle, Christmas 1997. I remember to this day the anticipation leading up to that Christmas, circling this in the Argos catalogue. I remember the advert that was on television, and it's one of my greatest Christmas Day memories having this. I remember sort of opening it and immediately starting to build it. Obviously I was only relatively young at the time, and I remember building this set, so I would have been what, right, about 10? And I remember building it, and I was so happy. And I can't remember if it was my mum that bought it for me or my grandma. It was obviously my main present that year. I remember this at the time costing £100, and that was kind of like our budget as kids. So I had my whole budget on this one present. And I remember building it, dead excited, carrying it over to show my grandma on Christmas Day morning. I dropped it and it smashed. And like, I remember being like distraught, man. I was gutted, but you know, like I'd say, the sort of thing I'd say to my son now. My mum said, well, that's the fun of Lego, you have to rebuild it. So I literally built it again. I built it straight away. So like I smashed it all because I couldn't, my 10-year-old mind wasn't able to sort of half reassemble it from it being half built. So I had to take it all apart. So I literally spent the whole of Christmas morning building this Lego set twice. The nostalgia I have for this Lego set is unreal. Obviously, you'll be seeing this images and stuff on screen now. Obviously, I can't really show much to you, but this is complete. You can get all sorts of PDF documents these days as instructions of which to build it, but I'm really looking forward to building this now with my son, and it'll just be like a cathartic way, I think, of revisiting those memories for me when I was a child, and now to be building it with him. And yeah, like I say, it's just one of them real nostalgic pieces. I know I'm going to get a lot of waves of emotion building it. I'm probably going to get rid of the jazz set that we built a few weeks back because I don't want too much Lego in here. I find the Lego a bit of a hindrance. You can't go near it, it breaks and collects dust. But for a piece this nostalgic, yeah, I'm definitely going to be building that in the next vlog or two, and we're going to get placed here in the 3.0. And yeah, I want to give a big shout out to Zombiecattoys. If you like toys and you're into buying toys, make sure you go and check out his Instagram. And that takes us to the final one. So this is the CEX lottery. This is where my vouchers have gone. So we recently amassed some vouchers back, which is why I didn't buy every game that I mentioned on my games to invest in episode, because these were bought with cash, right? And obviously it's very different buying things with cash as opposed to buying it with CEX vouchers. But this is the reason why. I don't think I've ever seen this come into stock before, which is usually a good sign. This is Super Nintendo, you won't be surprised to hear. It's quite an expensive game. I think it was roughly £60. And the reason that's a good sign is when you see games frequently come in and out of stock, that often means a collector's bought it, wasn't very happy with the condition, their manual sent it back. And sometimes you buy games and you kind of think, oh, I'm sure this is one that's going around in circles, but sometimes you just have to prove it to yourself, right? Just so you know that you don't have to worry about missing out on a good condition one. So, it's CEX lottery time. Let's see what's in the box. Been sent very well packaged. Okay, so we've got Giami wrap and Big Bubble. So this is like real Big Bubble, and it still hasn't stopped it getting squashed. Right, okay. So there's a Big Bubble wrap here. I'm not sure about this. Anyway, that game is Kirby's Dream Course. So Kirby's Dream Course is a 1994 miniature golf-based game. There wasn't really any mainline Kirby games released on the Super Nintendo. There was Ghost Trap, which I already own, which is like a puzzle game. And the other one that I don't own, which is the more expensive of the three, is Fun Pack, which is like an 8 games in one, so I can only assume it's some sort of like mini games, but I really don't know what to think about this. I'm kind of sitting here right now, like as I'm talking to you guys, thinking, I don't know if this is a win or a loss. I'm genuinely stumped. Let me come a bit closer. This is how it came. Okay, so first impressions obviously aren't great. It's very squashed. But I can see that there's a manual. Okay, so we've got a manual, so that's obviously great news. The inner tray is somewhat destroyed. I don't care about the inner tray. These are 10 a penny, okay? The cartridge is absolutely fine. I mean, these things are pretty much bomb-proof. That's all good. So it's about the box now. Again, first impressions aren't great, but it's a squashed piece of cardboard. I feel like if I spend the time to build this back up, might be one of them that we have to iron, put in a box protector. I think it will be okay. It's not perfect by any means. The worst piece is here, look, it's missing one of the tabs, and that as a result has affected that corner. But, as I say, I bought this with CEX vouchers. It's also, this corner's not great, look. Would I buy this in cash? Absolutely not. But the fact that it's complete and I got it in vouchers, I think it will do for me. That I'd say is just about acceptable for me. The front of it's fine. It's just, as I say, there's a couple of issues in the corner. But this is one of them ones where I think if I clean it up on next week's vlog, we put the iron on it, I'm verging on being 80% sure that on next week's vlog, I'm going to be telling you I've decided to keep it. Not great, but certainly not CEX loss. So yeah, I think that concludes what was an epic pickups, right? Let me show you this. This is what my floor looks like after that pickups. So yeah, I've got a lot of tidying up to do, but I mean, what a pile of stuff, right? And the big box of Lego. Add that to the games that we've just put away. What a week it's been for pickups. Okay, and that's going to pretty much do it for another week's Ghetto vlogs. I'm about to try my hand at Twin Hawk. I'm hoping third time lucky. I'm hoping I can get this game finished tonight. It actually inspired me to make another 16-bit shmup purchase that will be arriving on next week's vlog, so I'm looking forward to getting that. But yeah, as always, I just want to give a massive thank you to everybody, everyone that keeps supporting the channel, everyone that's watching and enjoying these vlogs. It really is much appreciated. If you're enjoying this and you're new or for whatever reason you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. Helps the channel to grow. I just want to say now, I've been dying to tell you guys something for a long time, but it's like, I don't often like to write checks before they can be cashed, right? But I've been working very hard on something, a video coming. And I keep thinking in my mind, is it going to be next week? Is it going to be next week? We're not quite there yet, but there's a lot of work going behind the scenes on this video. It's going to be featuring some very big guests, and it's something I'm very excited about. So yeah, just keep it locked to the Retro Ghetto. If it's not this Wednesday, I think it will almost definitely be the Wednesday after. So yeah, definitely something to look forward to. But everybody, have a great Sunday. Enjoy. Thanks again. In a bit.
You're watching the Retro Ghetto.
Ghetto.
Ghetto!
Yeah.
Lock into the Retro Ghetto.